All right, I'm live now. So I'm just talking with Sharon, and you can hear her, but the viewers. That's what they say in New Zealand. They say kia ora whānau. Kia ora. But I just say hello. So that's what I say. So we were talking about this Bills of Exchange Act. And one of my friends was saying, it's just like you're on the yellow brick road. Often, whenever I'm in these things, I'm often in somewhere. I'm in the Matrix, or I'm on the yellow brick road, and I'm trying to get to the wizard, and I can't. I need a brain, and I need a heart, and I need courage, and all of those things. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, just if you're on the yellow brick road and you go click, click, click with Dorothy's heels, and then you're going to get this Bills of Exchange." Which I've got this here, called the Bills of Exchange Act. Can you see that, Sharon? Yeah, put your microphone on, because I like your microphone on.
Yes, I can see that.
Then you can talk to me. Don't worry about the baby. The baby makes noise, everybody. There's nobody here, so everybody don't be noisy. We don't mind the baby because the baby's our friend. It's got a little boy, and sometimes he makes noise and we don't mind. So we know that the tribes were given seals, and the Bank of Australia was set up, and then we all went into this Bank of Australia. Well, I've got this Declaratory Judgment Act, and funnily enough, the persons that are signed onto it, Sharon, is the same person that signed onto my
your group,
on my group from the St. Pauli, which was called AB. There's two here. One was AB, one was GH, and one was JK. They're the ones that have signed onto this. Oh, and there's another one at the request of CD. Of the Bill of Exchange hereunder from EF, to which demand he made answer, wherefore I now in the presence of GH and JK do protest. So they said, this is how, okay, when you have this Bill of Exchange here, all right?
Yeah. Yep.
If you want to protest any law that is repugnant to the 1688, then you write this form of protest. Know all men that IAB, the householder, which is the people of New Zealand, in the colony of New Zealand, at the request of CD, there being no notary republic available, did on the day of, and then you put the date, demand payment or acceptance of the Bill of Exchange hereunder written from EF. So EF would be the one that demands that this bill. So the Bill of Rights is a bill to the government. All governing officials are under that bill. And whenever they make a law which is repugnant to that bill, right, the bill which is to them, then you can write this letter and demand that they answer to you about this bill that you're upset about. So in Parliament, they make bills, right? Parliament, they're always making laws, and all those laws are called bills. And all those bills are to you. So they make a law, and that is a bill to you. They make a law, and that is a bill to you. But we have got the 1688, which is our bill to them. Okay? So that's their bill from us to them. and that's in the Cabinet Manual. And that says that if they want to write bills to give us, they have to follow that bill that we gave them first. Do you see that?
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So in that bill that we gave to them, it says that they're not allowed to take our money and give it to other people against our will. So when they say we want to give $1 million to Ukraine and we want to give $3 million to Eritrea and we want to give $5 million to the whoever, and we want to give houses to every immigrant that comes to the country, and we want to give jobs and money to every immigrant, that bill there, they're not actually allowed to do that in our, they're not in our 1688. That's because they're just giving our money away, and we are responsible for it. So yes, because
we're paying for it through our taxes.
Yes, because our country belongs to us, and the company of our country belongs to us. But when our country gets into debt, the debt belongs to us. But, yes, but when our country is prosperous, the profit belongs to us. But
no, it goes to them when they
that's what they're doing. What they're doing is that they're taking our profits and giving it to other people, of which we're not entitled to any of it. So every time our country starts to make a bit of a profit, they just ramp us up into debt, so that we, so in our bill to them, they're not supposed to do that, you see. So now where was it going to go? So that comes under, so our bill to them comes under the bills of exchange. And when they make a law that we're not happy with, we can write this note to them, and we can say to them that we demand that you answer to this law, why you've written it. We demand that. Yeah, we're allowed to do that because it's our company. And so it is. So what has happened is they brought in this 1990 Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
But the 1990 Bill of Rights is not a bill to them. It's just another bill to us, another bill on a long list of bills. And that was because the United Nations they're not able to force us to pay for anything for their people. So what they did, if you look at this, hang on, make sure I get the right one here. Here, if you look at this bill of exchange, it can be talking about paper bills, which is money, but it also can be talking about our bill to them as a government, right? And then also their bills to us. So there's this little thing going on there, right? And then it says here that if an inland bill, so our bill to them and their bills to us, they're called inland bills. And that's also called inland revenue. Like all the revenue from our taxes goes to the inland revenue. You see what I mean? And so there are rules about how they can spend that money. All right?
That's what we want to hear.
Yes, we do.
Very.
And then, so, it says on the face of it purports to be both a drawn, and it can be drawn and it can be payable within the colony. All right? And that means that when the Parliament makes a bill to us in the Parliament, they can draw that money from us within our country. Do you understand that? So they made a bill and they said, okay, we're going to give some extra health care to all the people, all right? And so they made that health care, and everybody in the country said, yeah, we wouldn't mind having that for all our people. And so when they made that bill in the parliament, and then they handed that bill to us, the public, right? And then when we paid taxes, they took our taxes, and that's how that bill is paid. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So, but those things are called, they draw and payable. So they draw the bill in the parliament, means they write it in the parliament, and then it's payable by us through our taxes. And this is the inland revenue. This is how they spend our money, how they work out spending our money.
But shouldn't we have a say on how our money is supposed to be spent?
Well,
if it's our company?
Yes, I'm about to get to that. All right. First
Okay,
of all, let's deal with this United Nations and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it should be drawn within the colony upon some person who is resident therein. And then it says any other bill, yes, that they have to be therein, but any other bill is considered to be a foreign bill. And so the United Nations had dozens of bills that they wanted to give to us. They said, we want the refugees to have a house when they come. We want them to have a job. We want them to have $100,000 settlement money. We want them to have free schooling. We want them to have free healthcare. All of those things, plus. And
Which
then
isn't really
that bill belongs to the United Nations, and they cannot give it to us. But in order to give it to us, they have to attach it to a bill that we have in our country, and they've attached that to the 1990 Bill of Rights. That's how it's attached. Do you see? And so currently the United Nations is sending all their bills to us, and we're paying them. So that's what's happening. So
that is repugnant against the 1688.
It is, because that comes under the I haven't got my 1688, but I'll put it up so I know what I'm talking about. So this is so our Bill of Rights, what the United Nations have done, have put dozens of people in charge of us, because our chief of police is a Muslim from another country. The head of the serious fraud office is a Chinese lady. The head of the courts is a Samoan. The head of the executive position is an Iranian. We have got councillors and mayors of our cities who are refugees. People in our parliament who are refugees have been in our country for only 10 years. And they are all there because this comes under the United Nations demands. But we come under a thing called the levying of money for the use of the Crown by the pretence of prerogative without grant of Parliament for longer time or other than the manner than the same shall be granted is illegal. So if the money is used for other than the manner that we said that it should be used, all right, that is illegal. So when we give our money, and then the United Nations coming through the 1990 gives all those bills to us, all right? So they are all foreign bills and nothing to do with us. But then when they go through the 1990 decides that, yes, this is a bill that you should have. So they're taking our money that we said was for our people in New Zealand, and they're giving it to people that just turned up in New Zealand yesterday. But there's
And that is so wrong, because we have homeless. Our own people are homeless out there, and they want us to pay for their housing, their jobs.
yes,
That's our money for our people.
that's exactly right. And so they're just wonder if I can
Well,
share
I did
this.
not consent to that, did you?
Well, no, we didn't consent to it, but if you don't consent to it, well then hang on. Then
You have to.
you've got to go and make a declaration to the court. You see, you can't just say, oh, I don't consent.
No.
I'll just go and share
No.
this.
I'll just go and share this. I'll just go and share this. She's got it on 2 places. Have you got it on TV too?
I have, but I'm just going to share it on my Facebook in case someone wants to come on and listen to
My daddy. What? Big Friday?
all right. Now I've put up my live talk show. All right. So anyway, see if anyone wants to come. Someone might come, but never mind. Nobody's here. We'll just have this little chat show. So anyway, what's the time? We'll do like another half hour. So anyway, so then we've got this bills of exchange here, and then it says, so any other bill that's not made is a foreign bill, but the United Nations and the Parliament have come up with this sneaky little thing where they made this Bill of Rights, which is a bill to us, and then they attached the United Nations onto it. And that's how the United Nations are billing us for billions of dollars and putting our country into debt. That's what they're doing. They are. And because no other countries are agreeing to this. It's only in America's not in it. Canada's not in it. The only countries that are in it are England, Australia, New Zealand, and Scotland and Ireland. The Commonwealth countries are the only ones that they are billing the Commonwealth people for billions of dollars to pay for all their little schemes that they want to do. And they've gotten greedy. Nobody minded, but it's just going, the bill is going up and up and up and up. And currently, their bill is higher than our own bills for our own country. So they're taking an awful lot. So then I was looking at this, and so then it says,
it sounds like they're taking all the Commonwealth money and not even using these.
Yeah, they're not. None of these countries, because all these so-called poor countries have got billions of dollars in resources, billions, and their governments don't give their money to the people. They don't give them any benefits. They don't give them any health care. They don't give them nothing. And they keep all that money within their families. And rather than the United Nations saying, you've got to be responsible for your people, no, the United Nations is saying, you keep all your money and we'll make the Commonwealth people responsible for all of your people that you don't take care of.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, because every country in the world has got enough resources to take care of their people in their own country. They all have got those resources. And it's not our fault if they don't want to use those resources to help their own people. It's not up to us to pay for it.
Well, you look at our welfare payments. No way, back in my time, no way was there ever this many people on welfare. And see, with everybody being mandated out of their jobs, there's more people going on to the welfare.
Well, and then they, because then they, now they're talking about that we won't be able to give pensions to our elderly anymore. And they're saying, yeah, they're talking about cutting the pensions completely cutting the pensions because we can't afford them anymore. Because it's not fair.
We can't afford them because of what they're doing.
Because of what they're doing. Because someone comes into our country and they be in our country only 10 years. And then they're entitled to a pension for the rest of their lives. But our people in our country have got generations of input into the tax system. So we have put in for many, many, many years. And so is it fair that somebody turns up only for 10 years, works for maybe, even though they work 20 years, they don't have the generational credits. And the thing is, when you go...
And they don't even have the genealogy credits either.
They don't have...
talking about mums and dads, my mum and dad who worked.
And yeah,
their mum and dad,
my mum and dad and their mum and dad and their mum and dad all worked to build this country.
Our country.
And the idea that we should not get pensions while other people can because there's too many people, because those people have only paid in for 20 years, but they don't have the generational. But also they're allowed to bring their elderly, they're allowed to bring their parents, they're allowed to bring brothers, sisters, babies, parents, wives. It's not the same as when some, like I just one day thought, I want to go and live in Thailand, right? So I packed up and I come to live in Thailand. I'm just a single person, but I got married to a Thai and I became a Thai citizen. But I'm not entitled to bring my parents or my grandparents or any of those to Thailand. I'm not entitled to bring any of them.
What about, are you allowed to get pension?
No, I'm not allowed to get anything. The only thing that I was allowed to do was that I was allowed to purchase a small piece of land. I'm not allowed to buy a big piece of land, but I'm allowed to have my small piece of land in my name, whereas I wasn't allowed to have it in my name before, even though I had lived here for 30 years. But all of these countries don't have pensions, but they provide jobs for people that they can all do. It's very different to our country, but I don't want to get stuck on there. Don't want to get stuck on talking about that. I want to talk about this Bills of Exchange Act, but we're just saying that the 1990 is a bill to the people with all of the United Nations bills attached to it that they give to the Commonwealth people to pay for. But I'm saying that the 1688 is a bill to them. And so then it says here that it says here, when a bill contains words prohibiting a transfer or indicating an intention that it should not be transferable, it is valid as between the parties thereto, but it's not negotiable. Now, what does that mean? When the LexisNexis American law purchased the Butterworth's Queen's Law from England, this is what happened. The Queen's Law was purchased in 1973 by an American law company. And that American law company has been trying to get rid of the 1688 will and marry. And the reason they're trying to get rid of it is because it has many restrictions on what they can do in our country. On them. And so they can't just come in here and do what they like. Their American law is very different to our common law. It's a very different document. And it doesn't have, I don't think it's as good as our common law, quite frankly. It's called an inalienable right. But we're not alien in ours. We're not aliens and we're not refugees. We're natural people. Under the common law, we're natural people. But under American law, they would make us aliens. And and under the United Nations, they make us aliens and refugees. So when you go under those laws, that's what you are. But we want to stay under the natural law. And under our natural law, we are permitted to take them. So under the 1688, we have got the non-obstant law. And the non-obstant law says that nothing in this Bill of Rights can never, ever be removed from your country. And so this is why they can't make us a republic. They reckon they're making us, it's just scaremongering. They're not allowed to make us a republic. But the only time that they can make a republic out of us is if they get every single person these documents, every single tribe. This is the St. Pauli. Yeah, this is the St. Pauli. Yeah. And this is my tribe's documents here with my names on it. And every single group that has got one of these has, each tribe has got one. And then also many Anglo tribes that were Germanic that were signed on to this in 1843 in both Australia and New Zealand. Some of them were done in Australia, I believe. Some were done in New Zealand. Some were done in England. Some were done in Ireland and Scotland. And each group that came from Scotland to these countries went on one of these. Well, I'm not sure, but this one was from Germany, from the St. Pauli. But these people here, if they can get every single one of these people to agree to throw out that, then they can do it, but they need every single one. But if one person says no, then they can't, and that's us, Sharon. That's me and you. We're gonna, yeah, and we're going to go and say no. So it says here, otherwise, if all parties, that means every single descendant, so even if they had a referendum to make a republic, the only people that would be allowed to be, in my opinion, on that referendum would be the people that are on, the descendants of the people that are on these documents, and nobody else. Nobody. And so that's why I think the appeals court has allowed me through, because of my name. Because I'm a Sixtus, and so I have power to do that. And so
and you have all the documentation.
I have. So they can't dispute it. And so I'm going to go.
You've got your arms, Kate.
I've got my arms. And I'm going to protest about Section KII that says New Zealand will be bound to every international instrument. And that's attached to the 1990 Bill of Rights. And that is a bill to us. And I'm giving the bill back to them, and I'm saying I protest. I will not allow you to do that. You're not putting United Nations bills onto us. On ours. So you can they can go and give the bill. United Nations should give the bill to each of their countries. The respective countries. Those countries. So if you've got people in Africa that are poor and not got anything, and they don't have a house, and they don't have education, what the United Nations needs to do is to write a bill and give it to their country.
Yes.
Don't write the bill and give it to my country, because I don't want your bill. And I reject it. So there. We certainly do, don't we, Sharon? So so it says that it in this here, it prohibits any transfer of that. They can't take our bill of ancient Protestant, our bill of Protestant protections. They can't do that and transfer that to someone else. Gosh, I can smell the smell, Sharon.
There's something burning?
No, not something burning, but like a man or something. I smell a man in my house. I've not been a man here for so long. Like,
you got your son.
I can smell like, you know, that stuff that footballers rub on their legs?
Oh, liniment.
Yeah, liniment.
Liniment.
I can smell it in my house. Is it the ghost?
Zen doesn't.
Zen's not home. I'm
What?
scared. Right, the door's locked. Right, all the doors are locked. Zen's not home. I'm scared. Might be a ghost. All right. So,
I think a good one.
all right. So where are we up to? We've got to finish this at 1:30. So I want to finish it. So that says there that there's the spell, and so it says that it's not negotiable. They can't take our Bill of Rights and exchange it for the Lexus Nexus. They can't negotiate it. No, they cannot. And so that's why when all these groups are going through the courts with this 1990 Bill of Rights, they get turned away every time because they're not the true holders and they're using the wrong law. Because that 1990 is a bill to us.
Yeah.
So that's why they can't use it. But our 16.8 is a bill to them. And so that's why we can go to the court. Because we're calling in our bill we're calling in them to answer to our bill. Not them calling in us to answer to their bill. See, that's why when Sue Gray, for example, okay, you get the 1990 Bill of Rights, and it says, oh, okay, they have their autonomy of their body to not be getting this injections, all right?
Yeah.
Not getting these injections. And so that bill is to you, right? It's not the bill to the Parliament. That bill, well, it is the bill to the Parliament. That bill is to you, and you've got to sort it out with your Parliament. You've got to do your petitions. In that case, you've got to do petitions to Parliament because it is an agreement of a bill and exchange between you and the Parliament of that you have to pay that bill to Parliament, not that Parliament has to pay that bill to you. So that's why it only goes to the administrative court. But our one is a bill to the institution and the whole governmental system. And that is a bill to them. And so that's why that one can go up to the court, and then they have to sort it out to us.
Yes.
Is what you've got it, haven't you, Sharon? What I'm saying. So then it goes down here, and it says here that the bill is payable on demand. So that when you come to that bit that I was telling you, here's the demand, because it says here on the demand that you as a shareholder with your names and any of the Maori tribes, so the Maori tribes can do this, my tribe can do this, but the average man off the street probably can't. Most of them, I would say about half of New Zealand would not be able to utilise this. You've got to be the right people. You've got to have the whakapapa, all right? And we got the whakapapa, Sharon.
We got the whakapapa.
We do.
We certainly have.
And so we can do it, but others can't. And so that's why they can't. So that says there that a bill is payable on demand. So what this means is that if you don't go to the court and demand it, they don't have to pay it. And I was noticing that Chris Farfoy kept saying, we can make this law, and if nobody complains, if nobody makes it demands, then the bill should go through. And so, yes, so what has been happening is none of us have been demanding. That's why. Nobody has demanded in 47 years or more.
They demanded, but they didn't demand on paper.
Yeah, exactly. They verbally demanded. They knocked on the door. They sent petitions. And they keep using the Bill of Rights 1990, which is a bill to us. It isn't a bill to them. So they don't have to even listen to us.
No.
They don't even,
No.
they can just say bugger off because this is a bill to you. So you've got to pay your bill.
Pay it.
You've got to pay it, Sharon. But
Yes.
so that's why it's not working.
That's
But
why it's not working.
we have not been demanding. So as soon as we demand, things will change. All right, because they know that we know how to demand now.
Now, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then the way to demand is by your the thing that you will say to. It says here in the colony of New Zealand at the request of CD, there being no notary republic available, did on the day of demand payment. We're demanding that the government pay their bill to us of the bill of exchange here under render, to which we demand an answer. We are demanding that you answer to us why you wrote Section KII that New Zealand will be bound to any international instrument, because I don't want to pay the United Nations bills. You can get stuffed.
Yeah.
So we demand an answer about that.
Yeah.
And it says...
And we don't want to pay for foreigners either.
And we don't want to give them houses when they have not earned their place. No, it's got to be New Zealand people first, and if there's one spare, we will let you have it. And if there's none spare, then you can't come in.
Yeah.
And we're not allowing you to have 10 people in one house either.
No.
Because you all get sick and then we have to pay for your health care. So you're allowed to have, if it's our house that we give you, this is the limit of the amount of people that you're allowed to have in our house that we let you have from our country. Isn't that right? And wherefore I now, in the presence of GH and JK, do protest the said bill of exchange. So that's why it's called a bill of exchange. They make the bill in Parliament and they give that bill to us. And then we pay our taxes and they take that money and pay that bill that they made us pay.
Through the bill of exchange, we can use the 1688 and say, no, that goes back to you under our Bill of Rights, that this bill, you made it, you bought them there.
You pay it.
Yeah.
You pay it. I'm not paying it.
Yeah.
And you will not do that anymore without our permission.
Yeah, and we want you to stop.
And we want you to stop.
Yeah.
And you will not put foreigners in our governance. We will not have foreign people in our police force, in our government, you will not put foreigners in our government either. Because
it's not just we've got a problem with foreign people.
No.
What we're saying is, why do we have to pay for them? Our own people are homeless. Our own people are starving.
And when they finished their work for X number of years, they've got to go home.
Yeah. I think
and they're not to be going to all of our schools for free.
No.
Because over here in Thailand, they have international schools, and the company that you work for has to pay for the children to go to the school. It ain't free. And they're not allowed in the schools with the natives either, because they upset the language of the natives. The natives lose their ability to speak properly. And I think that's been a bad thing that's happened in New Zealand. You know, our kids can't even speak English anymore. It's terrible. So then the next thing it says, have a listen, it says an instrument expressed to be payable on a contingency is not a bill, and the happening of the event does not cure the defect. So what does that mean? The United Nations is an instrument. And when they write their bills, all right, it's not payable. We don't actually have to pay their bills that they're saying that we have to pay.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
they're coming in through the 1990, and then so it's the 1990 that gives us the bill. See, everybody doesn't understand this about this 1990. It's not a Bill of Rights. It's a bill of money that you have to pay for all of their rights. That's what it is. It's a bill to the public of New Zealand. So then it says, I wanted to go to the last bit, almost finished on this, but here it says, so this is the problem. Every party whose signature appears on a bill is prima facie deemed to have become a party thereto for its value. So the 1990 Bill of Rights, well, which is a bill from the United Nations to the people of New Zealand to pay for everything for them. And then whenever one of their rights is not upheld, they go to the administrative court, and the people of New Zealand have to pay them money for doing that, right? So it costs us quite a lot of money. The entire United Nations Commission, Human Rights Commission, is paid by the New Zealand people. All the laws drafted for those people is drafted through LexisNexis and paid for by the New Zealand people. So that's all. And they've got no money left for our own people to go to the court. Our own people can't even get a lawyer. Our own people can't get anything. So every holder of the bill, so remember, the 1688 is a bill to the government, how they must govern, right? But the 1990 is a bill for the public. The 1688 does not have monetary value. It only just tells them how they're allowed to spend our money and what they have to do to be in Parliament, right? But the 1990 has a lot of money attached to it, because you've got to pay all the United Nations, refugees, immigrants, all of them, you have got to pay. So it is a bill that is bound in millions and millions of dollars paid by you. But so who is the party to that bill? You are.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
yes. And then it says here, but every holder of a bill is a prima facie deemed to be a holder in due course. Every time you use the 1990, you are saying, yes, I accept that this is a bill to me. So it's very, very bad. When you go to the court, with the 1990, and you say that they didn't give you something, and if you win that case, they then have to pay you money. But whose money are they paying you with?
Your own. Your own. Your money, my money. So we really didn't win anything.
You didn't get anything. And that's why they don't mind sending all these cases. Because you're paying for it yourself. So they have to follow the will of the people. And if you go to them and say, I want this money, they pay it to you because it's your money that they're paying you. But
out of our tax,
in order to do all of that, all of the lawyers come from the Human Rights Commission. They're all paid for by the Human Rights Commission. And who pays the United Nations Commission?
You and me. You and me.
And then all the lawyers, those lawyers, use LexisNexis law from America. So who's paying that?
We are.
We are.
We are.
So, but
Oh my goodness.
who makes all that money?
They do.
They don't.
Friggin' heck.
You see, so every time that a New Zealander jumps up and down using that 1990, they all do a little dance because they're just winning everywhere you turn. They're winning, and you are losing. You're not getting anything. All you're doing is increasing your taxes,
Your bills.
increasing
You
your
are
bills.
upset.
Yeah, you're increasing them. Every single time that you ask for something, you increase the bill to yourself. Yeah, so this is what's going on. So you think you're getting money, but you're not really.
You're not.
No.
You're just paying yourself.
But then it says here, but if in an action on a bill it is admitted or proved that the acceptance, issue, or subsequent negotiation of the bill is affected with fraud, duress, or force, and fear or illegality. Well, I believe that the Section KII of the Human Rights Act is illegal.
And all of that.
And all of that.
Yeah.
I believe that we shouldn't have to pay for all of that for them. It's too much. They should do like I do. When I packed up and left New Zealand and I came here, I got nothing. I had to find my own job. I had to find my own money. I had to find my own house. And I certainly was not permitted even today I'm not permitted government positions. I've been here 30 years. Not allowed any government positions. They're all government positions in all other countries, all of these so-called refugee poor countries, all government positions in these countries are reserved for the people that are born to this country of the parents born to and I can never ever work in them, never. And so you have to say that we have to prove that 1990 Bill of Rights is illegal, because the New Zealand people are not realising that every time they use it, it's costing them millions of dollars. Every time you use it, every time you use a lawyer, and every time they use it, all the immigrants are being encouraged to use it. The burden of proof is shifted then, and unless and until the holder proves that subsequent to the alleged fraud or illegality, value has in good faith been given for the bill. So that means that their bill becomes null and void if we can show that it's repugnant to our bill to them. Here's our bill to you. That's your bill to us, but your bill to us must not be repugnant. And I'm saying it's repugnant.
Yep.
And so, so then it says here in the last bit that the people that may do that are anybody that are belonging onto these documents that on the
Victoria.
On the Victoria that we, where are you? So that's the documents that we have. We've got the Declaratory Judgments Act,
Yeah.
which is here, and this one is very important because that one there says that we have the right to go to the court and ask about any law that we think is repugnant to our 1688 bill that we give to them. So that's guaranteed in there, right? And
Mhm.
then on top of that, if you come from New Zealand or Australia, and if you've got ancestry, you have to have ancestry to 1843 when this was done. These documents were all done in 1843 across our countries, across our Commonwealth countries. All of our countries, the Irish tribes will have them, the Scottish clans will have them, each clan will have one. The English people, all the English people that date back to 1843 will have them. In New Zealand, each one of our tribes will have them, and there's one tribe that came on the St. Pauli from Germany, which is ours, which got one. We all have seals, and these seals belong to the people on here, and we are permitted to use those together. You can use your Declaratory Judgment Act, and then you use that. Then you use your 1688 Will and Mary, and you use your 1688 Will and Mary, and you can use the bills of exchange. And the 1688 is a bill to Parliament.
Yeah.
Right? It's a bill to Parliament of how they have to govern over us. They're not
Right.
allowed to govern by division. So the United Nations is governing by division. And so they're illegal in governing, in that they're saying, we want you to give money to the homosexuals, or we want you to give money to the handicapped, or we want you to give money to the refugees. It all was a setup. The give money to the children, give money to the handicapped, give money to the homosexuals, give money to the native people of the land, was all a huge setup for them to get to the point where they're saying give money to the ethnic people and the refugees, and that of which amount to 370 million people worldwide. That they have said all those people that are stateless, all those people that are not being cared for in those other countries have got to be paid by you, the Commonwealth, because you, the Commonwealth, are supposedly rich. And then the United Nations doesn't give a bill to those countries. So you've got Ethiopia, right? Maybe Ethiopia doesn't care for their people. And I'll just say it again, just to repeat, Ethiopia doesn't care for the people. Rather than the United Nations give a bill to their government and say, you have got to give X amount of money to pay for these things for those people, because their governments just say no. They're not signed up to the United Nations, and they just say, no, I'm not paying it. So the United Nations has decided to give that bill to us through these Human Rights Act and all of that. And so
But
it's,
how the hell did they work out that our Commonwealth countries were rich?
well, we were
You
at,
mean
we were rich before, but we're not rich anymore
this
because
is right.
of what they've been doing.
It's
We
like
were rich.
Yeah.
We had the best education in the world, the best
Well, we
health
had
systems
peaceful living.
in the world, the
We
best standard of living. Everybody had a
Yeah.
house there. We had, our homeless people was zero.
Exactly.
Zero.
We never had homeless.
No, we never had homeless. We never had, our prisons were not full. They only got full since they started this corporation thing.
And we most certainly didn't have high taxes.
We did not have high taxes like that we've got now. And let me tell you, over here in these countries over here, nobody pays taxes because they don't need to. We had enough money that, we had enough money in our countries to give a benefit to people because we had a lot of resources and only a few people. So we had the country of New Zealand was only 3 million people. And even though the New Zealand Maori were only 2,000, even with our 3 million people, we had enough resources to pay benefits to
For
all
all
of
us,
them.
yes.
Yeah, for everybody. And we were able to pay a pension and all of that. But now that they've increased it to 5 million, which they're lying now and trying to say that it's 4 million, but it's still 5 million. Yeah, but they're
Yes.
trying to say it's 4 million because they want to bring more in. They're manipulating
Yeah.
the numbers and like, well, now that we have to pay for all of those when they've brought in such a lot, plus all of their families, they're allowed to bring in their parents and their grandparents who are not of working age, and those parents and grandparents are entitled to home care. Home care, immediately they arrive in New Zealand, and New Zealanders have to pay for it. Yeah.
In the meantime, those that are coming up for pension won't even get that.
They won't, because we can't afford to pay for all those people that didn't put into the potty. And so then, our resources now are not enough to cover for all of that. And so our education has gone down because they can't afford to pay the teachers anymore. And our nursing's gone down because they don't want to pay the Anglo nurses anymore, because they want to pay cheaper from the other countries. And
well, they've fallen in there because 8,700 was due to come in, and of all that nursing staff, teachers, and all of them, 8,900 had gone out of New Zealand. The 8,700 won't come. They won't come because foreigners here seem to think New Zealand's not looking after them. That's what it was told.
no, you have to be careful, because they're trying to get wage, and they're manipulating the media. Don't believe what they're saying. They're manipulating the media to make you think that there's a shortage of nurses when there isn't. They just threw out all of our nurses, and then they deliberately lowly paid our Anglo teachers so that they would leave. They're deliberately forcing our Anglo people to leave so that the foreigners will come in. And I'm not believing quite what they said, because I know they were saying that you had 5 million, and now suddenly they're saying that you've got 4 million. And also they're also creating jobs, since those people are guaranteed a job by the United Nations. Since they're guaranteed that job, they've had to create a whole lot of useless jobs that are not actually needed. Hundreds and thousands of jobs created that have absolutely no use to the New Zealand people. And so our resources are, so now that's why now we're not a rich country. We did used to be. You should see the health care that they've got over here in Thailand. They have got all of these countries, Saudi Arabia, Africa, all of them, they have got the absolute toppest standard of medical equipment, the latest medical equipment. They've got, you have no idea, the education here is second to none. They've got, they do the STEMs, math, science. You can go into the math sciences, you can go into the languages. They've got everything over here, and they give nothing to nobody, nothing. And our countries used to have, that used to be our countries, because our countries have been forced to give it and give and give and give. Our countries have become poor. I think that the world is not keeping up with the truth. Our country, our Commonwealth countries have become poor, the poorest nations on earth, and their countries that we built, that we sent all our technology and we sent all our workers, their countries have risen up. All the NGOs have been kicked out of their countries, and they've all gone into our Commonwealth countries, and they're causing nothing but chaos. And then all these countries, all the ones that they don't want, all of their losers, all of their people that can't take care of themselves, they're all sent to our countries for us to take care of. It's a huge, huge scam. It's an attack on the Western world. It is nothing less than an attack on the Western world, and we all have got to start standing up. But that's how we got to do it. You take your 1688 Bill of Rights, you take your 1908 declaratory judgment, you take your 1908 Bills of Exchange Act, read that. There's so much more in there, but I've only said a few gems. And then, and if you have got one of the papers that's got the seals on it, and you can get a group of you to go. We've just taken the first case through now, aren't we, Sharon?
Yes.
So this is our test case, and once we know what we're fighting for, once we get it through and we learn all of the obstacles, we're going to try and take through another case, aren't we, Sharon? And and in that one, we're going to put a group of us to put in that one. And we're going to be getting a declaration. So we are, but we can't quite do that right now, are we, Sharon? Because we can do only one at a time. One at a time. So we'll do this one first. So that's about all I'm going to say today. But thank you very much.
Just on there. Just on there. You know how you say that each tribe has a seal. Where would you find those seals? With your tribe chiefs?
I believe that if we go to Sydney David Tangify, and Sydney David Tangify, he talked about this, that each person would get a certificate, and what will happen is that each of your tribes would have had one of these, but every single person won't be on there. It will be, I don't know what's the number, but on this one there's about 50, but of course your tribe numbered in the thousands. So they probably would have taken the significant leaders of your tribe. So what I would do if I was you is I can send you a copy of my one. But I think that what I would suggest is because I can't do everything for you. But
that's right.
So I will send you a copy exactly of my one, and then I will scrabble through if I get time in the next. I'm a bit busy with this appeal, because I've got timelines that I have to fit. All right, and tomorrow I've got to call them and I've got to do stuff. But when I get time, I'll get that. I think I did already send the Sydney David Tangify. But on that Sydney David Tangify, it said that there would be a seal, and each tribe would have a seal. And so if we photocopy that, and then we photocopy this, and you get in touch with the Tikanga Law Society, and you'll say to them, I've noticed this document here, and I've been told that each of the tribes has a document like this with the seal. Where's mine? And let them, and they'll probably be able to, and you tell them your tribe, and they'll probably be able to tell you, and they might even be able to send it to you. So I think that's what we're going to do. So I'm having trouble. I'll take a screenshot. So let me remind me if I don't do it for you.
I know you've got a lot on.
Yeah, I've got a lot on my mind at the moment. And
the other question, Kate, is, you know how you talk about generations and putting into the potty? They're actually going to take that away. How Kiwi say this are going to be taken away?
Everything is going to be taken from you, because they no longer want you to be special. They don't want they believe that the resources should belong to everybody. And I'm saying, no, they don't. The resources belong to the people that have a strong history to New Zealand. And it's not going to be after you've been in New Zealand for 10 years, that's for sure. They don't belong, and the referendums don't belong to those people. You can have voting. I think that voting's all right. When I had been in Thailand for 30 years, and I got my citizenship. After I got my citizenship, I had to wait 5 years before I was allowed to vote.
Wow.
5 years, and I'm only allowed to vote on the local council. Not even allowed to vote.
Vote in the government one. That's the laws we need.
So I'm not allowed to work in any government job. They did bring in a benefit here, but they brought it in. Thailand, God bless them. I think that they realised the unfairness that the Western countries were paying benefits to their people, and yet they were not paying benefits to Western people. So they brought in, so they're the only country of all of these freaking countries. They're the only one that turned around and said, we will pay you a benefit. But because they don't really want to pay it, it's 500 baht a month, which is like $20 a month. I get $20 a month in a benefit, and I'm entitled to that. And if I reach 80 years old, I will get $22 a month. And if I reach 90 years old, I will get $50 a month, or about $45 a month if I reach 90. So
and you can live on that?
no, I got well, my husband, they have my husband got you have to save into your you have to save into your job savings.
Oh, yeah.
And then the job has to pay you a match $1 for $1. And then that goes into an investment. See, all these immigrants should be in that scheme. They should be in the scheme where they have to pay, not us. Not us, because our ancestors built this country for 200 years. We built all the roads, we built all the hospitals, we built all the schools, we did all the fighting amongst each other and got all the courts into New Zealand. We set up the governments, we set up the police, we set up the whole caboodle. And so our people, all our ancestors that did all that work, they were not able to get benefits at that time. So they were working for nothing so that we could have a better future. And look what we've gotten. All the government have done and the United Nations have done, they looked over at what we had, at what our ancestors had prepared for us, and they said, we're going to take that and give it to other people because we think you've got too much. And I don't think that's right. It's what they should. So the new people that come to New Zealand, they should, from their job, they should pay in and they should get the $1 back, but not us. That shouldn't apply to any of us. And no. And yeah. And we should be entitled. So I think they've got it all up the wop. And I think we need to start. We need to stop. We need to be stopped. You know, when you have a guest come into your house, after 3 days they smell. After a week they stink. And this is true. When the guests come to the house, into your house, you give them the best for a while. But when you see that they're lazing on the sofa, or when you see that they're taking more than what your own kids are getting, even if they are contributing, when you see that they're taking more than what your own kids are getting, when they're getting something that your kids are not getting, even though it's your own house, it's time to tell them, hey, you've got to go and make it on your own. I can't take care of you. Can't take care of it. No. So, you know, we're going to have to sort this out. Right, that's the end of the video. I'll still talk with you, Sharon, but that's the end of the video, the end of the stream. So don't forget to get those things that I'm telling you about.
All right.